and Shyamkund. So I was thinking the topics of Radha Kun, Srimati Radharani. As you know that there's no difference between Srimati Radharani and the Radha Kun. And these topics are so high, such a lofty topic. And a lot of times we may not get it properly or we may not understand properly. So in this day and age, right, this age of Kali, only way we can know about Srimati Radharani or Radha Kun is by taking the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's because of his mercy we all know today what is Radha Kun. Actually, Narottam Das Thakur says in his one of the bhajans that it's because of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy we can enter into Vrindavan. Otherwise, how can we enter Vrindavan? And after entering Vrindavan also is because of the mercy of our Goswamis, Shad Goswamis. We do understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Radha Rani and their Radha Kund and other subject matters. So tonight I was thinking before we talk about Paulastami, Radha Kund, let's chant that prayer by Narottam Das Thakur, seeking their mercy so that we can glorify Radha Kund and probably we can understand the importance of Radha Kund. So please, let's chant this bhajan, and many of you know this bhajan, Gauranga Bolite Have. Gauranga Bolite Have Ulhak Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Nayan Bhavinira Bolite Ahe Ulakashira Hari Hari Bolite Nayan Bhavinira Gauranga Bolite Have Ulakashira Hari Hari Bolite Nayan Bhavinira Bolite Ave Ulakashira Hari Hari Bolite Nayan Bhavinira Har Kabe Nityai Chande Karuna Hoyi Je Samsara Bhaksana Mora Kabe Tu Chahave Har Kabe Nityai Chande Karuna Hoyi Samsara Bhaksana Mora Vishaya Jadiya Kave Shuddha Have Mana Kabhi Mahe Raho Sri Vrindavana Vishaya Jadiya Kave Have Mana Shamaje Rabo Sri Vrindavan Rupara Gunata Padhe Ohibe Akuti Kabe Ham যাবো সে যুগল প্রীতি উপর গুণাতা পদে হইবে আকুতি তবে আমগো যাব সে যুগল প্রীতি রূপর গুণাতা পদে রাহু মোর আশা রচনা করো সদা নরোত্তম দাস রঘুনাথ পদে রাহু মোর আশা রচনা করো Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gauranita, 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 Jai 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 Prabhupada, Sisi Gaunityay ki, Sisi Shat Goswami ki, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you for chanting the bhajan. So today, as I said, is a very auspicious day. It's a Bhaulastami. Now the first question somebody might ask is, what is Bhaulastami? Why is it called Bhaulastami? Actually, generally when we say Bhaulastami, people immediately say it's the appearance day of Radha Kund. But in reality, there were two incidents happened on the same day, one after the other. One is Bhaulastami, another is Radha Kundastami. But since they happen both at the same time, one after the other, sometimes we say Bhaulastami is same as appearance day of Radha Kund. But there are two different pastimes happen. So, why is this called Baulastami? As you know, Vrindavan has many, many forests. How many of you been to Vrindavan? Many of you have been to Vrindavan, right? So Vrindavan has many, many forests. Out of that, 12 forests, 12 are considered the main forest, 12 principal forests. And these forests, like seven of them are on the western side of the Yamuna, and the five are on the eastern side of Yamuna. And one of the forests which is on the western side is known as Bhaulavan. One means forest. So why is it called Bhaulavan? So our acharyas explain there are two reasons why that particular forest or particular one is known as Bhaula. As you know that Srimati Radharani has many, many sakhis, you know, associates, gopis, who serve her all the time. And one of her primary sakhi or main sakhi, her name was Bhaula. And she was serving Srimati Radharani all her life by staying in this particular forest. So because of that, this one is known as Bhaula one. And this Ashtami, this pastime happened in Bhaulavan. That's why it's Bhaula Ashtami. Also in Padma Puran, there is another pastime mentioned about why it is called Bhaulavan. So once there was a special type of cow which used to live in this forest, and her name was Bhola. And this is a very special cow. So one day this cow actually came to drink water at Manasarovar in that Bhaulavan, that area. And while drinking water, the lion actually came attacking the cow. And this cow was thinking, no, my days are numbered. Actually, I have only maybe a couple of minutes to live. So she prays to this lion and says, I know it's your dharma that you have to attack me and kill me and eat. I know that. But I have one humble request for you. My young baby calf, she's at home. Can I just go home, feed her, and then I will come back? See, those days, even animals used to talk to each other. And nowadays, even human beings don't talk to each other. We use WhatsApp and Facebook. So the times have changed. So this lion actually trusted this cow and says, "Yes, you can go home, and I will wait here at Mansarovar and go home and come back." So this cow goes back to her home and tells the baby, "Today is the last time I'm going to feed you. Please drink as much as you want. Then I'm going to go back to the Mansarovar for the lion." And the baby calf says, "Mom, why are you going? You are giving milk to these Brahmins and for the temples and everything. Let me go." And there was an argument between the mother and the daughter. They said, "No, I have to go, you have to go." Meanwhile, when this discussion was going on, the Brahmana in whose house that these cows were living, he heard the conversation. And he says, "You don't have to go, let me go." So now the conversation is between three of them who has to go. So finally, they couldn't decide whom to go, I mean, who has to go. So all three of them, they go to Mansarovar. And this lion is thinking, this is like a Diwali special today. Buy one, get two free, right? Like I will like big feast today. So when lion was about to attack one of them, Lord Krishna personally appeared and said, "No, all three of them are my devotees, and you cannot kill them." And Krishna personally protects all three of them, Brahmana, cow, and the calf. And it is also said in Padma Puran, actually, this lion which came at that time was none other than like Dharmaraj. He wanted to test these three devotees. So because of this cow, this particular one is known as Bhaulavan. And because of this particular pastime which we are going to discuss happened in the Bhaulavan is known as Bhaulastami. So before we talk about Radha Kun, let's think about the importance of Radha Kun. Then we'll understand why are we discussing about this. How many verses are there in the Bhagavad Gita? 700 verses. How many verses are there in Srimad Bhagavatam? 18,000. Such a vast verses, right? In the Western culture, the biggest literature is known as Iliad and Odyssey. Some of you must have studied in the school, right? The War of Trojan and others. So together, Iliad and Odyssey have 27,000 verses. So imagine, it's considered huge. But compared to that, Mahabharata has 100,000 verses, four times Iliad and Odyssey together. Now, our Goswamis, just 500 years back, you know how many verses they wrote in Sanskrit? 400,000 verses. 400,000 verses. And these are not simple verses. Think about the definition of bhakti in the nectar of devotion. Perfectly mentioned, right? Every word, every syllable. And this is a caliber of our Goswamis. They wrote 400,000 verses. And after writing all these verses, Rupa Goswami is thinking, nobody is going to read this. So I had to summarize this. So they bring this 400,000 verses to how many verses? 11 verses. And that is known as Upadeshamrita, nectar of instruction. So essence of all these scriptures, whatever our Goswamis wrote, they said that is there in Upadeshamrita in 11 verses. Now imagine if you have to condense that much, every syllable, every word has to be equally important. Now, in those 11 verses, Rupa Goswami has dedicated 3 verses glorifying Radha Kunda. So now you can imagine, understand how important is Radha Kunda. And these Goswamis are not like ordinary people. They scrutinizingly studied every scripture, whether it's not only Vedic scripture, Christianity, Islam, Taoism, whatever was there, they studied and finally they came with this conclusion. So that is the importance of Radha Kunda. Our Acharya says that out of millions of people, generally most of the people are, they're karmis, means they want to enjoy this material world. Out of millions of karmis, there might be one who might be interested to enjoy, but by respect some authority. They're known as karmakandis. So out of millions of karmis, one karmakandi you can find. Out of millions of karmakandis, you might find one karma yogi. Out of millions of karma yogis, you might find one jnana yogi. And out of millions of jnana yogis, we might find one bhakta, devotee. And out of millions of bhaktas, you might find one bhakta who is at a prema bhakti level. And out of millions of prema bhakti level, you'll find very few who are ragatmika, a special type of bhakti which is practiced in Vrindavan. And out of thousands of ragatmika bhaktis, there is 108 primary gopis, and out of that, the like important gopi is Srimati Radharani, and Radha Kund belongs to Srimati Radharani. So now you understand the importance. So with that understanding, let's think about how this Radha Kund, how is important for us. So this is nectar of instruction. We'll just recite the verse number 9. So if you know it, please recite it with me together. Vaikunta janito vara madhupuri tatrapi raso sava vrindaranya mudara pananiramana tatrapi govardhana Radha Kundamyapi Gokulapate Premartha Plavana Kuryadasya Virajato Giritate Sevam Viveki Naka. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura, Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Raslila pastime. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and, and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellence Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kunda which is situated at the foot of Govardhan? So Rupa Goswami says Radha Kund is the most holiest place in India, Uttar Pradesh, where? On the earthly planet? In this universe? No, not even in this universe, not even among all the universes, among both spiritual and the material platform. This is the, he said, it goes to all the way to the Vaikuntha. He says, this is the most holiest place in the entire creation. Then he says that if somebody is intelligent, why are they not going? Why are we here today? Today is Baulashtami, we should be in Radhakund, right? If we are really, really, really convinced about this, we will take action like that. But, but this is why Rupa Goswami emphasizes the importance of Radhakund. Now, question might be asked that why Radhakund is not mentioned in many scriptures. 5,000 years back when Krishna came, did he talk about Radhakund? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about all his opulences, right? Many opulences. So among all the mountains, he says, I am Govardhan. Yeah? Himalayas. Among all the rivers, he says, I am Yamuna, right? No. He says Ganga. And among all the months, he says, I am Kartik. No, Margashir. So why is he not saying about Radhakund and Kartik and other place, right? But we have to understand, scripture also, they give knowledge according to the different hierarchy, right? Prabhupada says there is Vedic scripture, Vaishnava scriptures, and Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is a Vedic scripture. That's why Prabhupada says it's a bachelor's study. And that's why it's meant for large audience. But then Srimad Bhagavatam is a master's level. And then at a Gaudiya Vaishnava's level, at the doctorate level, you will see the glorification of Radha Kun, Srimati Radha, and the loving relationship. This is not there in Srimad Bhagavatam, not in Bhagavad Gita. So let's not think that Bhagavad Gita is less like that. No, according to the different level, different knowledge is given. So that's why this particular Radha Kund, what we talk about, is because of our Goswamis, because of our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are able to get this information. So the question is, how did Radha Kund and Shyam Kund appear? As you know that anything in this world cannot, in this material world, cannot appear unless it's there in the spiritual world. Whether it's the Govardhan, whether it's the Himalayas, whether it's the Radha Kund, Shyam Kund, Lord Krishna, Radharani, whoever it is, it has to exist in the spiritual platform. So how did Radha Kund and Shyam Kund first appeared in the spiritual world, not in this material world, like in India right now? See, one day Lord Krishna was with Srimati Radharani in the spiritual world and enjoying on a jewel throne, jewel swing. And there was in spiritual world, every thought, every action, every desire is meant for as a loving, is actually an expression of loving relationship to the beloved. And in this particular scenario, Krishna was with Srimati Radharani. She's not an ordinary person, right? Krishna, as you know, that has many energies, but you can divide into two main energies: external energy, Bhairanga Shakti, and internal energy, Antaranga Shakti. And internal energy is divided into three more parts. Which are those? Which actually represent Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So Sandini Shakti refers to the Sat, means everything is eternal, everything exists. And who is the predominant deity, or who is the personification of Sandini Shakti? Balram. Balram is the Lord. Balram is the Sandini Shakti. Then there is a consciousness, a Chit. Because of that, Krishna knows us. We know Krishna. This is Chit potency, conscious potency. And who is the predominant deity of Chit potency? Lord Krishna himself. And then this is Ladini Shakti, pleasure giving potency, Ananda. Anything, if you get Ananda in this world, it is actually originally comes from Srimati Radharani, because she is the predominant deity of Ladini Shakti. And Krishna is there in the spiritual world with Radharani on this jewel throne. And Krishna gets into the mood of Radharani, and suddenly he takes the form of Radharani and starts crying, Krishna, Krishna. Imagine, Krishna is in the form of Radharani again. And now there are two Radharanis sitting on that throne, because one is real Radharani and one is Krishna, who is in the form of Radharani. And then he starts screaming like Krishna, Krishna, and he just goes into the forest. Meanwhile, when Krishna left, Radharani was feeling so much separation. How can she live? And she gets so much into the Krishna's mood, she takes the form of Krishna. Now imagine the condition of the gopis around, they are confused. There was Radha and Krishna, and Radha left, who is Krishna, and Krishna left. I mean, Radharani left here, she's in Krishna. Like, what is happening? So, this Radharani, who is in the form of Krishna, is profusely crying. And then gopis could not console her. So, they go back to the forest and meet Krishna and say, Krishna, you have to do something. So, finally, Krishna comes back, actually calls back Radharani. And in that separation, right, there was so much tears came from both of them. So the tears which came from Srimati Radharani formed Radha Kund. The tears which came from Lord Krishna formed Shyamkund in the spiritual world. So this is Shyamkund in the Radha Kund in the spiritual world is the expression of pure love between Radha and Krishna. So this is how both they appear. So the question is, how did they appear, Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, here in the material world? So, you know that when Lord Krishna appeared in Vrindavan 5,000 years back, everything was quiet, nice, right? Was it? No, actually, not really. See, sometimes we think that when we take Krishna consciousness, everything will be happy. Actually, no. Krishna consciousness is not an insurance policy for material problems. No, that's not it. Bhagavad Gita Krishna specifically says that. So it said that in Vrindavan, every day before breakfast, Krishna would kill one demon. After breakfast, he will kill one or more demons. So that was normal. So Kamsa used to send many, many demons to kill Lord Krishna. This happened 5,000 years back in Vrindavan. And one of them was Aristasur. And Aristasur came in the form of a bull, right? And it says that this bull was so gigantic that even the clouds were confused, like where to be. They thought that his hooves is like a mountain, yeah. And this bull enters the Vrindavan, screaming and roaring and making so much noise. All the pregnant cows and women, they had a miscarriage. So you can imagine so much noise. So what do Vrajavasis do whenever they are in danger, whenever they are in fear? What do? They go to Krishna. So this is the difference. Because of Krishna consciousness, we cannot say that we will not have problems, but we know where to go. Without Krishna consciousness, if there are problems, you might take shelter of lawyers or relatives or parents or something, and things are not going to go right. But if you're Krishna conscious, you can take the shelter. We can take the shelter of Lord Krishna. So Vrajavasis teach us that. So Vrajavasis, they go to Krishna and say, Krishna, you have to help us again. This is before breakfast, action, get ready. So Krishna goes to the forest where this Aristasur was there, and Krishna was casually standing with his hands on his another Gopa's shoulder, casually saying, my dear Aristasur, why are you doing this? Are you challenging my authority? Then you should come and talk to me. Why are you creating problems for all these Rajavasis? And this bull was so angry. He just starts chasing to Krishna, and Krishna pushes the bull. And the bull gets like thrown away, but it was not dead. Now the bull, second time, he wants to kill Krishna. He is so ferocious. So he attacks. Now this second time when bull comes, Krishna holds the horn, and he said that he was beating the bull to the rock like the way washerman beats the wet cloth. And then this Aristasur, of course, leaves the body. So it says, Mare Krishna Rake Krishna Mare Ki. Krishna wants to kill, nobody can save. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has analyzed all these demons who came to Vrindavan. Does anyone know Aristasur represents what? Anartha, false ego. So, in previous life, this Aristasur was a disciple of a Brahaspati, who is a guru of all the demigods. His name was Vartantu. And because of his false ego, he was doing aparadh to his spiritual master all the time. And he says that once, when his spiritual master Brahaspati was entering the room, this Vartantu was sitting with his legs stretched, and he didn't even bother to pay obeisances to his spiritual master, and he didn't even fold his legs. So Aristarchus said, actually, Brahaspati said, you have a bull's mentality. Like you must have seen that in India, sometimes on the main highways, you have a big bull sitting and you honk or you scream, nothing happens. Basically, you have to take a parikrama and go, right? So nothing, they don't move at all. So he says, you have bull's mentality, bullish mentality. So I curse you that you become a bull in your next life. So this is how this Vartantu became a Aristasur, and he was born in eastern um, Bengal, East Bengal. But as you know that, those who have mentality of the like demons, they come together, right? So finally he joins hands with Kamsa and then attacks. So now this is when this pastime happened, everybody was so happy. Krishna has killed Aristasur, and all the demigods, they always keep a flower petals. They know that it's like a Broadway show every morning. So they start throwing the flower petals on Krishna and this demon, all these things. Every day the same story. So Krishna was so happy, the Brajavasis are happy, but this is part of Bahulastami. Next comes Radha Kundashtami. So everyone on Vrindavan was happy except one person. Who was that? Srimati Radharani. So Radharani says to Krishna, Krishna, from today onwards, please don't associate with me. Krishna says, why? Because you have killed a cow, bull. Krishna says, I didn't kill a cow, he was a demon. How can you say that? Srimati Radharani says, no, doesn't matter, you still kill the cow. And this conversation between Radharani and Lord Krishna, right? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains very nicely with 20 verses in his Sarartha Darshan, which Prabhupada actually quotes all those 20 verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you get a chance, please read. This is the conversation between Radharani and Krishna, very argumentative kind of. So she said, you have killed. The Krishna says, all right, then what is the prayashita? What is the atonement I can do so that I can get rid of this sin? She says, you have to take bath in every holy places in the entire creation. Krishna says, wow, okay. But Krishna knew the art of, even before pandemic, right? 5,000 years back, Krishna knew the art of working from home culture. He had that. So instead of going to every holy places around the universe, what does Krishna do? He says, he calls all the holy places, come and bring your water. I can take bath. It's like working from home, right? So as soon as Krishna desired, every holy places, the Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, Kshirasagar, everyone, they immediately, because these are all just not the river, they are personification. There is a predominant deity. They all came with their water in front of Lord Krishna. And Krishna says, Krishna, all right, let me dig a hole on the ground. With his heel, Krishna digs a big hole, and all these predominant deities or different rivers, they pour water, and soon there is a big kunda, which is known as Shyamkund. And Krishna takes the bath in Shyamkund and comes out and says, okay, my dear Radha, now I'm cleansed. But there's a problem. I am clean now, but you are contaminated. And Srimati Radharani says, why am I contaminated? Krishna says, you are common village people. You never did any sacrifices entire life. And on top of it, you took the side of this Aristasur demon. So even though you have not fought for demon, because you took a side of Aristasur demon, you all are contaminated. And Radharani says, what should I do then? Krishna says, go and take bath in all the holy rivers. That's what you have to do. Srimati Radharani says, all right, I will take that challenge. So she calls all her Sakhis, thousands of Sakhis, and soon she starts digging a hole using her bangle. So she breaks her bangle, and all the gopis they break the bangle and they form a big kunda. It's known as Kankana Kunda. What means Kankan means? Kanchana Kunda or Kankan Kunda means is made out of bangles. So soon there was a big, big pond, but the problem was no water. So Krishna says, can I pass some water from Shyamkund to Radhakund? Radharani says, no, your water is contaminated because you took bath. How can I use that water? So Krishna said, then what are you going to do? Srimati Radharani says, don't worry, I will make a human chain all the way to the Manasi Ganga, which was quite far. And with golden pots, we will bring the water to my kund, and I will make a kund which is much more superior to you. So all the gopis they form a big human chain all the way to the Manasi Ganga and start drawing water. Now you know how much water they can bring in a small pot, right? So looking at all these rivers, were thinking, Krishna, you did it such a easily working from home, like just called us. Look at how much struggle Radharani is doing. Can you not Can we just go and put our water into that kunda also? Krishna says, I have no problem. Just go and ask her if she wants. She will take the offer. So all these rivers, they go to Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani looks at Krishna, whether has he sent it or have these rivers come on their own. As soon as Srimati Radharani looks at Krishna, Krishna immediately looks on the other side. You know, because ultimately Krishna wanted that Radha Kund to be formed also. So finally, Srimati Radharani gives a permission, all the rivers they put water, and then we have a new kunda, which is Radha Kund. So the first person to take bath in Radha Kund was Lord Krishna. Krishna says, let me get into that water first. And he says that anyone who takes bath in Radha Kund will get same love like the Srimati Radharani has for me. And all the Sakhis with Radharani, they take bath in Radha Shyamkund. They said from today onwards, anyone who takes bath in Shyamkund will get the same love that Krishna has for Radharani. So this is how Radha Kund and Shyam Kund they appeared in Vrindavan about 5,000 years ago. But as you know, any important places or any dharma, as the time passes, it just dwindles or it just disappears. That's why Krishna says yada yada dharmasya. I have to come back over and over and over to teach the dharma. Same thing. The holy places, they just come and then people forget and they just disappear. And then we have to rediscover them. So after 5,000 years back, after Krishna completed his pastime, people forgot about Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared just 500 years back, he had two main missions. One was to establish the Yuga Dharma of Sankirtan, and the second mission was to rediscover the holy places, lost holy places in Vrindavan. So, in the year 1515, during the month of Kartik, roughly around 508 years back, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enters Vrindavan, hoping to discover all main important pastimes where Krishna had his pastimes. So he was doing a parikrama. One day he was doing a parikrama of Govardhan. And those days it's not like today's parikrama. Today we have a nice parikrama. It was like hills and forest and everything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing parikrama, hoping to see somewhere I get a chance to see Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. And then he arrives in one of the villages and he asks the people in village, which is this place? They say, oh, this is Aristagram. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thinks, Aristagram. So this must be the place where Aristasur was killed. So he understood there must be a Radha Kund and Shyam Kund somewhere nearby because this is Aristagram. But he asked the villagers, have you heard about Radha Kund and Shyam Kund? They said, no, we never heard about Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. But our ancestor, our grandfathers and grandmothers, they used to talk about two kundas. They were known as Gauri and Kari. So after actually Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, appeared after some time, people started calling this as Gauri and Kari. Gauri means the golden color, Kari means the blackish color, referring to Krishna and Radha Kund. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, where is that Gauri and Kari? They said, nobody knew it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely tired. Then finally he comes and sits under a tamal tree, really looking, how can I find this Radha Kund and Shyam Kund? And when he was sitting at far, he sees two paddy fields. And it was very interesting for him to see these two paddy fields because both these paddy fields had this natural spring water and it was watering the both paddy fields. And with his divine vision, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu realized this is actually Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. They were just the paddy fields. And he was so ecstatic. Then he starts jumping, he gets into the paddy field, start jumping and dancing and says, I have found Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. And all the villagers were thinking, why this sannyasi is dancing? So Mahaprabhu was dancing and finally use this mud and does all the tilak and all, and he was finally so satisfied. And then he continues his journey. And as you know that from Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Allahabad where he meets Rupa Goswami, and then he goes to Kashi, Varanasi, where he meets Sanatan Goswami, and he instructs them and also tells them, go to Vrindavan and discover all these lost places. So this happened in 1515, which is 508 years back. But the credit for today's Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, the way it is, goes to Raghunath Das Goswami. As you know that Raghunath Das Goswami came from a very wealthy background. His father, Govardhan Majmudar, he had a land almost same as the entire state in currently in India. He was a multi. If you can think about today, he was a billionaire those days. But he gave up everything and following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the last 8 years is spent with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. And 1534, as you know, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his body. And this was too much for Raghunath Das Goswami. He says, I can't bear the separation of this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, only thing I can do is let me go to Vrindavan, go to Govardhan, jump from Govardhan and end my life. That was his mission. So he leaves from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan. But before jumping from Govardhan Hill, he said, let me talk to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. See, this is actually a good instruction for all of us. See, all of us, we go through ups and downs in life. There are problems, right? But we must take shelter of some Vaishnavas. Whoever you like, doesn't matter. Some Vaishnavas we have to take shelter. So, because they can actually guide us better when we don't see the light in our life. So, Raghunath Das Goswami, when he met Sanatan and Rupa Goswami, they didn't say, don't commit suicide. Nothing. They said, you spent 8 years of your life with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why didn't you speak about that pastime about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And then they also saw that Raghunath Das Goswami was carrying two things with him, which was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One was Govardhan Shila, another is Gunjimala. Govardhan Shila and Gunjimala is very dear to Srimati Radharani. So Rupa and Sanatan, they were able to connect this together. Govardhan Shila represents the Govardhan and Gunjamala represents the Radha Kund. So maybe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Raghunath Das Goswami to spend his remaining life in Radha Kund. That's what they instruct Raghunath Das Goswami. From today onwards, you go to Radha Kund and do your chanting. So Raghunath Das Goswami goes to Radha Kund, again, two paddy fields, just a little bit, there is nothing there, entire mud, and start chanting. And one day he was thinking, in future, thousands of people are going to come. Why don't I make some nice arrangement? Maybe I build the nice steps, like make some beautiful, like a square, Radha Kund and Shyam Kund and all. So why can't I do this? And suddenly he starts like hitting his head, said, why am I thinking about all the projects? Projects means headache, right? So he was thinking, I should not do this. Let me focus only on chanting. And then like he starts chanting again. Like see how these Goswamis think, right? But same night, when he thought, 1,000 miles away in Badrikashram, there was a great devotee of Badri Narayan, and his name was Samarpan, a wealthy merchant. He was going to Badri Narayan to give a large donation to Lord Narayan. And that night, Lord Narayan came to this Samarpan and says, you know what? I don't need that money. Go to Vrindavan and Radha at Radha Kund, you will see this Raghunath Das Goswami. You give this money to him. So Samarpan was so happy that my dear Lord Narayan has given me this instruction. So he heads back to Vrindavan. He meets Raghunath Das Goswami and gives so much money. Raghunath Das Goswami says, oh my God, I don't need this money because I don't want to handle money. But then he says, what happened? Samarpan explains him. Then he says, fine. So Raghunath Das Goswami accepts that donation and he immediately calls Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami was very expert. Jiva Goswami immediately says, buy both Radhakund and Shyamkund, both these paddy fields. He creates the deed and he makes Raghunath Das Goswami as the owner of these two fields, Mahantas. So this happened in 1534. So as soon as the deed was formed, the land was bought. Raghunath Das Goswami starts excavating, and when they were excavating the Radhakund, they found the original Kankan Kunda, which was formed by Srimati Radharani. That Kunda was still there. So they built the steps, and later on, King Man Singh, he also builds the steps. So like a lot of steps were built. So this is how Radhakund. You see the square, all the steps. Raghunath Das Goswami, the King Man Singh, and so many people, they built the steps. And roughly every 20 years, they clean Radhakund. Roughly 20 years. Last time it was cleaned, I think it's 2009. Bibi Gond Maharaj was also part of that. And every time they clean Radhakund, they see all these springs at the bottom. And these are actually different rivers who came 5,000 years back. And one of the springs is true. One of the springs in Radhakund gives a white color water. And what is that? Ocean of milk, Shira Sagar. It's still there. And even today, there's some days in Vrindavan, in Radhakund, you'll see the white layer on top of Radhakund. So Shira Sagar is still there underneath Vrindavan, the Radhakund. So after excavation was done for Radha Kund, Raghunath Das Goswami thinks, okay, let me work on Shyamakund now. So he calls the contractor and says, okay, make another square or the rectangle kund for Shyamkund, but there are 5 trees were there. He said, cut those trees and then make the same as Radha Kund. A day before the work was to begin, all Pancha Pandavas, headed by Yudhishthir Maharaj, they come into the dream of Raghunath Das Goswami and says, please don't cut those 5 trees, because these are actually me and my 4 brothers, 5 brothers, Pancha Pandav. We are in Radha Kund and Shyam Kund in the form of tree since 5,000 years back, and we do bhajan there. So please don't kill or cut those trees. As soon as Raghunath Das Goswami heard, he ran in the morning to the contractor and said, don't cut these trees. So they have to do the kund which is around those trees. This is why if you see, Radha Kund is square or the rectangle, and Shyam Kund is always a little bit crooked. Right? Shyam Kund is always crooked. That's true. So this is why, so you can see the importance. So Raghunath Das Goswami was on that in that place. He was doing bhajan in the Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, but he never built anything for himself. And one day, when Raghunath Das Goswami was there, he was there all the once. One day, Sanatan Goswami, he visited uh, Radha Kund, and he saw there was a lion which had come to drink water in Radha Kund. And Raghunath Das Goswami is sitting on the steps, and there is a young boy, Krishna, is holding a stick and waiting next to Raghunath Das Goswami. And Sanatan Goswami is looking at this scene and thinking, why Raghunath Das Goswami is doing this? Why can't he just build, a kutir or bhajan kutir where he can do? And another time he saw it was a bright sunny day, and Srimati Radharani was holding her veil, her chunni, on top of Raghunath Das Goswami. So Sanatan Goswami chastises Raghunatha Das Goswami, says, you know what? You should not take the service of Radha and Krishna. Instead, you build a kutir. So that's why you can see today also there is a bhajan kutir of Raghunath Das Goswami. He built. So Raghunath Das Goswami spends his remaining life in that Radha Kund, and 1576 he transfers the deed to Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami becomes the Mahanta or the caretaker of Radha Kund and Shyamkund, and then Jiva Goswami transfers it to others. So this whole tradition is still there. They transfer the deed from one family to another. So this is how Radha Kund and Shyamkund have appeared. So the last point I want to make is how should we take advantage of Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. First of all, please take this opportunity to visit Vrindavan. And if you are in Vrindavan, go to Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. And today is Bhaulastami. Those who are in Rajamandal Parikrama, they are all there, especially at midnight in Radha Kund. So how should we take bath? It says, actually, if you look at all the scriptures, it talks about if you take bath in Radha Kund, one will immediately achieve the highest prema. Prabhupada mentions this, Raghunath Das Goswami mentions in scripture, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions highest prema. But at the same time, these places we should not do any offense, because if you do offense, it can magnify also. So we have to be very careful. In 1975, when Srila Prabhupada was there for for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day in Vrindavan, he saw some of his disciples were swimming and doing sporting activities in Radha. Prabhupada was extremely grave. He said, "This is not the way. Srimati Radha Kund is none other than Srimati Radharani. How can you do this swimming and all these sporting activities in Radha Kund?" So he said, from today onwards, I request all my disciples just sprinkle water 3 times. Unless you have a proper bhakti, proper mood to enter Radha Kund and take 3 times deep. If you not, just sprinkle the water. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had told the same thing to his disciples in 1925 when he was taking the Vrajamandal Parikrama. So Prabhupada said that why do you go to Radha Kund and do offenses so that you become monkeys in next life? Don't do that. We have enough monkeys in Vrindavan, so don't do that. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati used to say that so-called Rajavasis, they sometimes come to Radha Kund, and they do all kind of, you know, nonsense stuff. So he said they don't come to Radha Kund, but instead they are coming to Narak Kund, means they will go to hell. So we have to be extremely, extremely careful when we go to Radha Kund. We should have a proper mood, understand the importance of Radha Kund, who is Radha Kund, and then if you are there, Radha Kund, if you can take dip 3 times, is fine. If not, just sprinkle 3 times water. That is also fine because Prabhupada has given us that mercy. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that in Radha Kund, even today, this is very important. Even today, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they come every day. And he explains what time they come. They come every day from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. EST, not IST, Indian Standard Time. So 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day, between that time, Radha and Krishna, they come to Radha. So we have to be extremely fortunate. We have to be extremely careful. So please take this advantage. We are so fortunate because of Prabhupada, because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because of Goswamis. We know this importance of Radhakund. So let's take advantage of this so that we can also get a glimpse of the Prema Bhakti. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So before before I end, I also want to know, because of the mercy of Sri Radha Mataji, we have the holy water from Radha Kund. So everybody will get a spring